Howdy y'all, it's Curious Raven. I hope everyone has been doing good. Today we have a mix of weird, scary paranormal stories. Number 1, I feel extremely confused still, honestly. It was 2017, so quite a few years ago at this point, but I still to this day cannot wrap my head around it. I was about 11, maybe 12 at the time, 19 now. It was around 7:40 a.m. and the sun was out and shining bright on a weekday. My mom and I were driving to school when just a minute past my house, we were coming up to the railroad tracks, which we did every day, except this morning we saw a man walking. I thought nothing of it, except it was odd that he was wearing all black jeans, black zip-up hoodie, black shoes. It was bent over, seemingly, when we were just starting to see the figure, and then it stood up, and I think it had its hands in its pockets. He was walking on the left side of the road, off onto some grass, with his hoodie up over his head. It began to walk. As we got close, it whipped its head around and looked at us. I expected to see a guy's face, but I saw nothing but pure blackness, darkness, a shadow where a face should be. I was staring in disbelief. The thing seemed to be scared, oddly, and began running. I have no idea why. Even then, I was so confused. It ran for a few seconds, which seemed like a while to be seeing what I was seeing. Then it slid down into the grass onto its butt and leaned onto its right side and hopped off like it was on a ledge. Mom kept driving slowly, and we watched the figure disappear into the ground. We both stared at the place where it went, and it was just gone. A second later, as we finally began to go over the tracks, I uttered, "Mom?" She looked over at me and just said, "I don't know." And I asked if she saw it, and she said, yeah, I saw it. And we both just sat there, I guess just thinking. In this experience, I didn't feel threatened. I didn't feel like it was planning on harming us, but it was so confusing. Why did it have no face? Why did it run? Why did it act like we weren't supposed to be able to see it either? Why did it go into the ground? Why was it wearing such stereotypical stock robber, scary man clothes? Does it mean hell is real? Did it go there? Was it a demon? I've never been a believer in the paranormal. I've always rejected the idea of God or religion in general, and I still can't get into that. As time went, kind of ignored this memory. Kind of ignored it and how it affected me. I now recently have been thinking about it and cannot wrap my head around it. I know I'm not crazy because my mom saw it too and can describe it the same as me. I just can't comprehend how it was real as any other person walking the street. I don't know why I'm posting this. Relate to about this, I guess. I've been feeling emotional about it lately. Is there anyone out there who can maybe help me understand this? Anyone else experience a similar thing? I've been to the spot multiple times since and never saw anything. I haven't seen anything paranormal since, in fact. Thank you for reading if you got this far. Means a lot. I just feel so alone and confused in the experience and sometimes life in general. I don't know how to process there being other things. Number 2, this story begins during spring break of 2023, and still to this day it remains as the most terrified I have ever been in my life. I was sleeping, unmoved as I always laid. My dreams was weird, as all dreams are. I remember seeing racetracks, not like regular racetracks, but like Hot Wheel tracks scaled to the size for humans. But that's beside the point. At any rate, at point in my dream, I see a crowd of people watching the cars go by. As I get closer, this crowd in my dream, I notice they are my family. So I started greeting them as I would in reality. My grandfather was among the crowd, and in the dream he turns around and shakes my hand. Finally he shouted, but still in a calm demeanor over the racing cars, "Oh hey, I just wanted to let you know there's a man in your closet staring at you." I didn't even react in the dream. I just sprung to life and immediately turned away from my closet door. My closet is a walk-in closet, and which directly leads into the bathroom. I remember my heart beating and traveling so fast I felt like was really someone there that could have heard it. I was trying to conceal my breathing as to make it look like I was still sleeping, but I'm sure this figure would have already have seen me jolt into a different position. I laid in silence. Every noise of the house settling, I only thought the worse. Person is getting closer. This figure is going to appear before me on my side of the bed. I'm going to die. With all of these mixed emotions and scenarios going through my head, I wondered how long I had actually been awake. I could see my window in the corner of my eye, and the sun was slowly rising. Finally, I had the courage to peek my head slightly up to see the time. 5:55. I must have been there for an hour, I figured. It felt extremely long. I remember when I was trying to calm myself down and think rationally, I knew I could have heard at least someone leave through my bedroom door, which was closed, or my bathroom door, which also I leave closed. I was facing towards the window. There's no way this supposed man staring at me could have escaped. Finally, after a minute or two, I sat up in bed, staring directly at my closet. After a few seconds, my eyes adjusted to the dark, and I didn't see anything. I turned on my bedside lamp, began to walk towards the closet. I flicked on the closet light, and no one was in there. I walked through the closet into the bathroom. No one was hiding in there. No man was staring at me, at least physically. Later on, I was trying to research why this could have happened, especially so abruptly. This occurrence never happened again, even as I live now. I thought, however, that maybe it was something paranormal. I've always been wary of those kinds of things, though. I don't want to tempt some unknown spirit somehow, but maybe I have. As in my room, I have an extensive military collection with relics spanning back all the way to World War I. So maybe, just maybe, my brain subconsciously knew that someone or some entity attached to one of the objects I own was watching me. I own military uniforms in my closet, so maybe this was their way to say I am here. You have my stuff. Thanks for preserving it. Or maybe they're watching me and saying I'm here. You have my stuff, and I want you. Number 3. So I dreamed I decided to visit an uncle of mine who's a Freemason, and I haven't seen for a long time. In this dream, I called him on the phone to ask if I could go over to visit, and he said it was okay. Then he said if I still wanted to be a Freemason, and I said I did. Later in the dream, I'm going up the stairs to his house, when suddenly it all went pitch black. A voice said, "Do you seek the light?" And I answered yes. Then it asked the same question again 2 more times, and I answered yes to all of them. So a door opened to a room, which was not my uncle's house, and he was not there. I saw a group of men, all unknown to me, wearing matching robes. They tested me and asked a few questions concerning responsibility, commitment, life goals, and ethics. I felt a little scared, and in a moment of consciousness inside a dream, I said, "If you mean to cause any evil or harm to my family, I hereby demand you all to leave, by the name and the blood of my Lord Jesus Christ." One of them smiled at me and said, "We mean no harm to no one, and you are a wise in spirit, for you know that evil things run fear if one says the name Jesus." Then an old man with a long white beard appeared, sitting on a chair, with the door behind him. He asked, "Who are you?" I said my name, and he said, "This is your name. Who are you?" I said I was a servant of Jesus Christ, in search of becoming better, and he said, "That is your commitment, your mission. Who are you?" I said I am, and I spent a few seconds thinking, and the old man interrupted me saying, "Indeed you are. I welcome you. You may go through. and I went through the door and woke up. It was vivid as fuck, and that's why I can recall most of what happened and what was said. Any ideas of what might have happened, or if it was just a weird dream? Number 4. I was on the bus during the late hours of evening, and it was only me sitting on the bus. This happened very recently, so the story is still clear in my mind. Nothing was special or had stuck out to me about the trip until after a few stops. This man got on the bus and decided to sit next to me. I felt quite confused, as there were many seats around me that he could have chosen elsewhere to sit. I was also sitting near the back, so he seemed to have examined the entire bus and still chose to sit right by me. Just wonderful. I ignored it and kept to myself, until he turned his face to me and asked me if I could keep a secret. This petrified me, as I thought he was about to confess something awful to me, as if I were a priest. He did stand out a little, so I assumed he was unwell or maybe even homeless. I stared at him for a few moments before ignoring him, not knowing how to respond. I'm not a rude person, but I am neurodivergent. It doesn't affect me much aside from my social skills, so sometimes I freeze and I'm unable to respond if the person seems even slightly threatening. He kept pestering me and asked me again if I could keep a secret. I stared at him and tried hard to convey fear with my eyes to try and imply that I was uncomfortable and maybe not the best person to share whatever he had to say to. I don't suffer from anxiety, so that's not the case. I simply don't communicate well. So after he asked me a few more times, I just said, yes. He smiled and pulled out something from his jacket, and my first thought was that it was shiny and square. Then he held it close to his lap, sort of secretively, even though there was nobody around. I understood this was some older, troubled man, so I tried to be polite until he pulled out a photograph of a man wearing the outfit that I have seen local officers wear. He was laying face first in the ground and was lying in what I assumed to be his own blood. And my heart sank, and I looked up at the man again, and now he had stopped smiling, which made me even more confused and scared. He told me that he wasn't from this time, and he had successfully built a time machine and had wound up here, but there were government officials trying to stop him. I kept listening when I faced him as he continued to speak. I tried to comprehend what he was saying, but there was a ringing in my ear that just kept getting louder and louder, and all I could focus on was his mouth moving, but not the actual words coming out of it, until I realized he just wasn't there anymore, and the ringing noise had suddenly stopped. I didn't even see him vanish. He was just gone. The seat next to me was just empty. I didn't see him get up, and the bus hadn't stopped in at least a few minutes before neither of us rang the stop button. I looked around and had noticed it was earlier in the day all of a sudden. The sky was lighter, colorful than when I got on, and then I checked my phone and it was 2 hours before the time I was even supposed to get on the bus. Also, the surrounding outside didn't seem familiar at all. I've taken this bus route 100 times, and I've practically memorized every tree, building, and road at this point. I checked Google Maps, and I was several hours away from home, when my typical bus ride itself is no longer than 40 minutes. I pressed the stop button and tried to explain to the bus driver that I think that I took the wrong bus, and he explained that I have to take the same bus back and then catch 2 more buses if I wish to go back to the place where I had even got on the bus originally. That made no sense. I have a very good memory and I am constantly aware of what I'm doing. If I had changed the bus 3 times, I would have known. Also, I only bought 1 bus ticket. I do drink sometimes, but that is only occasionally. I have never taken recreational drugs, and I haven't been on a prescribed medication since I was a child. Before you ask, I tried to post this on the Glitch subreddit, but it didn't have enough karma. I originally created this account to share this story and decided this subreddit might be the second best place to share. Thank you. Number 5. I saw this dark shadow figure in the woods. It was all black like a shadow, but I could tell it wasn't just a shadow. It was almost solid. It was tall and had the figure of a man, and it was followed directly with the most unsettling feeling I have ever gotten. I was driving to school, so my headlights hit him, and then he was gone. Nothing was there. Fast forward a couple days. I hadn't thought about it much, but my mood had dropped severely over the week. I'm usually a total optimist and always have so much energy, and I didn't know why. I was always upset and tired all the time. Then I was in the public bathroom, but nobody was in there but me. I'm sitting in the stall when the sink suddenly turns on. It was one of those motion-censored sinks. I was still the only one in the bathroom, and I was in the stall though. The second I opened the stall door to check, it stopped. I texted my friends, who knows a lot about ghosts, and told her I thought I was being haunted, and she said I might have an attachment. Without telling her about my mood dropping, she says, it can cause mood to drop and for somebody to get tired. It's all connecting, and I'm not sure what to do. Number 6. We went home after going to a funeral of my aunt. That very night, only after a few minutes of sleeping, I had a nightmare, wherein I was held down on both of my hands and feet by tiny black shadows. By a black shadow. It only went away when my mother turned on the lights. According to my mother, I was frantically kicking my feet, moving my hands, and I was screaming. After going out of the room, we found out that one of the statues of the saints we have has been broken to pieces from falling from the cabinet. How do we make the spirit go away? I'm so scared to sleep at night because of this, and I'm only able to sleep after the sun's out. This all happened last Saturday night. Nothing happened ever since, but I just want to make sure if the spirit is still here or not. Please help for those with similar experiences. Number 7. My mother at the time was about 20 years old. She was near a garden with my dad and her friends, then said that her friend had called out for her. My mother then went to see what was going on. When she saw her friend with the same face and everything wearing a red dress, she said that she had seen all red, and then her friend disappeared. My mom started screaming, and my dad then took her home. So, she had spent 3 months sleeping in my parents' bed because she was terrified. My mother is 40 now and has not seen the ghost since. Was it her imagination? Has something like this ever happened? There aren't any stories of ghost lady wearing a red dress in my country anywhere. And I am very curious as to what this might have been. Alrighty, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed that collection. I love y'all so much. I will see y'all for Creepypasta Saturday. But until then, remember it's scary out there. Please like and subscribe.
Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross